Okay, so in this session, we are going to discuss list in Groovy. So what is a list? A list is a collection object which allow to store multiple elements under a single value. So when we should go for list? So whenever you want to store multiple element under a single variable, then we should go for list. So how we can create list? If you want to create a list, you can use depth keyword and then just square bracket. Let's understand. Mm, I have created one list equal to square bracket. Within a square bracket, you can place multiple values separated by comma. And check here, this list allow duplicate value. Here we have placed 5 two times. Let's check here. Print a list. If you print a list, if you save it and now run it, check here and now if you run it. So important point you can check here. List is a collection which allow multiple value, but duplicates is allowed. So it means in list you can store duplicate value also. And second thing, in which order you store it, in the same order the element will be stored. So it means when we should go for list, whenever you want to represent, you want to store multiple element under a single variable, then we should go for list. So where we can say where duplication is allowed and insertion order is preserved. Insertion order is preserved means insertion order is preserved. Insertion order preserved means in which order you are storing the element, in the same order the element will be stored in the list. So you can create a list in Groovy using the square bracket, and within a square bracket you can place multiple elements separated by comma. So we have created one more list, and now animal list, and now this list contains like string type object cow, cat, and like chicken, and now you can save it. So here how many lists we have created? We have created two lists. Let's now we try to print both lists. So now you can check that this list contains how many elements? Three elements. Now if you save it, run it, there are two lists. So in this way you can create a list. Okay, so here you can create a list just by putting the element within a square bracket separated by comma. And you can create empty list also. So how we can define empty list? To define an empty list, we can do that like this. How we can create empty list? Let's check here. So here we have created one variable like empty, empty list equal to square bracket. So within a square bracket, if you're not placing any elements, and then it means we have created one empty list. It means we have one list, but this list doesn't contain any element. So this list called as an empty list. So this is an empty list. So you can create empty list just writing the square bracket without placing any value. So list can contain various data types. Yes, no? List can have any type of element. Okay, one more thing. Suppose I have created one list. We have created list one like numbers, nums, and strings list. We have created. So in this list, we have placed some number elements and then we have created some string elements. So check here, list is heterogeneous or homogeneous. So list allow heterogeneous element or heterogeneous. Homogeneous means the list is allow only similar type element. If list is heterogeneous, it means in the list any type of element we can store. You can check here. So it means you can create heterogeneous list. So list can be heterogeneous or you can create homogeneous list. If you create it, you can check if you're placing a similar type element, that list we can call a homogeneous element. It may that list we can call as a homogeneous list because this list contains similar type element. But if list contain different type of element, that list we can call as a heterogeneous. It means very important point. List can contain various various data types such as numbers, there's no numbers, strings, objects, and so on, and so on. So list can have any type of element. Okay, so let's now one more thing. List can be nested list. Okay, check here. Suppose I have created one variable nested, nested underscore list. I've created one square list. Within a list, each element may be one list. 1, comma 2, 3, then comma, I'm placing one more list. 4, comma 5, comma 6. So here we have created one list, nested list. In this list, yes, no, each element itself one list. Nested list means list within a list. So you can check here. Here we have created list within a list. So that type list is called as a nested list. So what is a nested list? Nested list means the list which contain another list. Nested list means when list contain another list. Nested list means list within a list. List within a within list. That is called nested list. Okay. So let's now we understand important point here. We have different nested lists. And now we are trying to understand some important point. Suppose I have created one list. I have created one list like fruit list. Let's now we understand and we are trying to perform some operation. Def fruits, I have created one list for apple, then comma, we have put banana, and then we have put cherry. So we have created this list. Okay, now my requirement, I need to iterate. I want to access all elements from this list. So how you can access? If you want to access element from the list, very important point, in the list, whatever element you are placing, each element has index position. So first element index position start from 0 and second element position is 1 and then 2. So each element has index position. So you can access any element from the list. Just specify the name of list, which list you want, which element you want to access. You can specify name of list and then square bracket its index position. Which position element you want to access? Fruits 0. So you want to access which element? 0 position element. In this fruit list, which element is available at 0 position? Apple. So it will give that element. So you can access element from the list using index position like print fruits square bracket of 0. So you can check here at 0 position which element is available. You can check at 0 position apple is available. So in this way, if you want to fetch any particular element from the list, you can write list name, its index position of that element. Which element? Suppose I want to access first element, then println fruits. I want to access second element of the list. So in this way, you can access any element from the list. So list allow multiple value. You can store multiple value under a list. You can check it. At 0 position, we have apple. One position, we have banana. Second position, we have cherry. So this is the first element. Total is the 3 element. But first element position 0 because indexing start from 0. Indexing start from 0. So you can access list. Yes, no. How you can access the list element? Let's understand all the different way accessing list element. How you can access the list element. So we can access, yes, no, you can access elements of a list by their index, and which start zero from zero for the first element. So you can check, you can access in this way. And now, very important point, you can access the element by using index position. And now one more thing, if you want to iterate each element from the list, then how you can iterate? If you want to iterate each element from the list, you can use for each loop. Using for each loop, you can also iterate one by one element from the given list. You can write for loop and then bracket. Within a bracket, you can specify in keyword. After in keyword, you can specify your list name from which list you want to iterate one by one element. So which list? From the fruits list. And the left hand side of in keyword, you can declare one variable. And now automatic for each loop, what does it will I get one by one element from the list and will store into the left hand side variable, and you can use that variable. Again loop will run, yes, no, again it will iterate next element. So this loop will run until all element is not iterated. So it means whenever you want to get one by one element from that given list, you can use for each loop. So let's check here. So suppose I want to print each element from the list. So I declare here variable fruit in from which list? From fruit list I want to iterate. And here we can specify the action that we want to perform on each element. So on fruit element, what action we want to? Just I want to display. So you can check here. So you can check you are able to iterate one by one each element. So how you can iterate? So let's iterating over list. How you can iterate over list? So you can use, yes, no, you can iterate over a list using loops or the each method. We have one method, each method we will discuss. Let's first understand loop. So using loop, how we can iterate? Using a loop first of all. So using loop, how we can iterate in this way? Okay, let's we create one list, def nums list, numbers list. In this list, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 elements. So my requirement, I need to display square of their number, each element of the list. So you can iterate using for each loop, num in from which list? Numbers. From the numbers, we need to iterate one by one element, and then we need to print num into num. And now you can check here. So you can iterate one by one element from the given list, and you can specify whatever operation you want to perform. So here you can check here. We are printing sum of each element of the list. You can check. So in this way we can iterate each element. Let's now we are iterating each element using each method. What is a each method? Each method. Actually, using each method, you can also iterate each element from the list. Let's understand how we can iterate. So suppose this is a list. In this list, I want to iterate one by one element. So on that list, you can call the each method. Each method, what does? Internally, it will iterate one by one element. And you can pass closure as an argument to this function. It means once you iterate each element, each method, what does? It will iterate one by one each element. And on each element, what action you want to perform, that action you can pass as an argument to the each method. So suppose my action, I want to get each fruit, and now simply we want to print each fruit detail. So println, I want to just print. So for each method, what does? Each method internally iterate each element one by one from the given list, and you can pass function as an argument, that function you want to perform on each element of a list. So for each method will iterate and perform this action on each element. So let's check here. If you run it, groovy demo.groovy, and now you can check here. Okay, let's save it once again. You have not saved it, and now you can check here. So now you can check it will iterate one by one each element. So you can specify any action that you want to perform on each element. Suppose this is a fruit dot. Okay. So here we have each method. Each method basically what does? Each method internally iterate each element, yes, no, from the given list, and then you can pass action as an argument that you want to perform on each element. So which action that you want to perform each element, you can pass that action as an argument. So suppose I want to print the length of each fruit, you can call the length method also. So it means it will iterate each element one by one, and then we display the length of each element of the given list. So you can say we have fruit list, and you can say what is the fruit, yes, no? Okay, here you can specify whatever action you want to perform. Let's check here one by one. First, I will just display the element of the list. Okay, second operation, what we want to perform. Suppose I want to display fruit name along with their length. So you can specify curly braces, open, close. If you have more than one statement, you can specify curly braces. If you have single statement, then curly braces is optional. So println, I want to display fruits, and then we want to concate colon, I want to display their length. So fruits, fruit dot length. Let's save it, and now we can clear it. Now run it. You can check here. What is the banana apple length? 5. Banana length 6. Cherry length 6. This means you can specify any operation that you want to perform on each element of the given list. So each method what will take as an argument? Closure. Yes, so you can pass a closure. This means you can pass function as an argument that you want to perform each element of a list. So you can use each method also to iterate each element one by one. Okay, so you in this way you can iterate one by one element from the list. And next important point, lists are mutable. Mutable means after creating the list, you can modify that list. So you can modify the list. So which object is called as a mutable object? The object which can be modified after creation, that object is called as a mutable. Mutable objects are those objects, mutable objects are those objects which can be modified after creating. Yes, no, after creating. So lists are mutable objects. Lists are mutable objects. This means you can modify the list object. So lists are mutable objects. You can add, you can remove, you can change the element. This means you can add new element, you can remove element, or you can change element value, because lists are mutable. Okay, suppose we have this list, fruit list. I want to add a new element in this list. How we can add a new element in this list? So in this list, you can call one method like add method. And now we want to add new fruits. You can check here. Here I give the fruit name like orange. And now you can check here, after adding, you can print your list, fruit list. So add method basically what does? Add method basically add new element to the end of the list. So you can check here add method, it will add new element to the end of the list. So add method basically what does? Add adds new element, yes, no, new element to the end of the list. It can add new element to the end of the list. So end method, yes, no, add method basically add a new element to the end of the list. So if you want to add new element to the, if you want to add an element to the end of the list, then you can use add method. Add method basically add a new element to the end of the list. So you can check a list has been modified because list is a mutable, so you can modify the list element. Okay, if you want to remove any element from the list, so you can call the remove method on the list, and then you can specify which index position you want to remove. Suppose I want to space one position, so here you can specify position. So it means it remove the which element? It remove the second element. One means second element. It remove the second element from the given list, from the given list. So you can check the after that list println your list name is a fruits. So check here after that. If you run it demo.groovy dot and now you can check here second element is deleted. So it means you can delete an element from the given list. So which element you can pass their position. Using remove method, you can remove the element from the given list at the specified index position. If you want to update the value on, so which element you want to update? Suppose I want to update zero position value. So fruits of zero in zero position. Let's I want to store which value? I want to store new value like kiwi. So earlier at zero position, which element was? Earlier, apple was in zero position, but now we have updated. Now you can check updated list. So fruits, after that you can check your updated list value. So you can check your list has been updated. And now you can check that at zero position, apple will be replaced with kiwi. Now in place of apple, now we have updated the value as a kiwi. So it means you can add element, new element to the end of list using add method, and you can remove any element by specify its index position from the list using remove method. So it means lists are mutable. Mutable means you can add, you can remove, or you can change any elements. You can modify the list element. So this is a basic concept of the list. What is a list? List basically we need to use whenever you want to store multiple value under a single variable. So you can use a list in a Groovy. So list may be empty list, list you can define nested list, and how you can access element from the list, and how you can iterate element from the list using for loop and each method. I hope it's clear. Thank you.